Good morning, everybody. It is May 10th. I want to wish my dad a happy birthday. This is MarketStream.live, and we're taking a look at all the overnight action from Asia, and it was mixed. What does that mean for you as an investor? Well, 10 to 25% of your portfolio is most likely made up of international stocks and potentially of stocks that are comprised and traded in Asia. So we want to take a look at Japan, China, Hong Kong, and India. And we're going to start with Japan because this one was the most mixed out of all of the different indices. We saw that the Japanese index continues to challenge the upside. As you can see from the chart right here, I just use this as a picture to kind of give you an idea of how tight these markets are. You can see that it's been very consolidative after just a nice bounce to the upside for the last 3 sessions. The weakness in their currency, the Japanese yen, is the biggest catalyst at this juncture. The Japanese yen continues to tumble to the downside. That is positive not only for the markets, but mostly for the exporters. In other words, companies that make product and export them to sell in other countries, specifically here in the United States. That has been a positive. As a matter of fact, if you take a look with this falling yen, you've seen car manufacturers in Japan actually going through the roof. Last night we saw that Mitsubishi Motors was up 8.8%. Previously we saw Toyota and Honda both to the upside earlier this week when we did the initial move to the upside. And this currency weakness, the strength in the dollar and weakness in the yen, has really helped these types of companies. We're also seeing SoftBank, a financial institution, moving to the upside, up 6.7%. But we did see Fuji Heavy Industries actually moving to the downside, down about 5% in the session overnight. We're going to keep an eye on that. Now, where the mixed trade continued, though, was in China. China continues to be on the downside. As a matter of fact, you can see it right here. It's trading on its lows at 3,052. The Shanghai Composite was down 27 last night. That was after what would amount to some pretty potentially bullish numbers on the consumer side, but mixed numbers or uncertain numbers on the producer side. What I mean is they announced their CPI, which is their consumer price index, and their PPI, which is the producer price index. The CPI came in a little bit better than expected, up 1.2%. That means that there's inflation on them. They're paying more for goods there. So it was a tick higher than what was expected. But we saw that the CPI or the PPI came in at 6.4%. That's a couple ticks lower than what was expected. They were expecting somewhere around 6.7, 6.6%. That left individuals scratching their heads, seeing that the producers are actually not having the growth perspective that we're seeing as far as the amount that the increase in consumer prices. So there was mixed action. There's also uncertainty about how the People's Bank of China is going to, let's say, work their monetary policies. There is continued scrutiny by the PBOC on things like shadow banks. In other words, they're going to make those lending standards a lot tighter. We're also seeing that there is, with this precipitous drop in commodities, we've seen the move in crude, Brent. We're also seeing it in other metals, things of that nature. Take a look at XME, aluminum. They've been dropping to the downside. This is putting a lot of concern in the Chinese markets, specifically in the commodity markets, that there could be some margin calls coming. That has put some pressure on the Shanghai Composite, and we'll watch that closely. Where we have seen some uptick is in Hong Kong. There has been a lot of mainland money that has been moving to Hong Kong. Some of the benefactors in Hong Kong have been the financials, as well as gaming names. Galaxy Sands being the most notable one, all as of late. But we did see some pressure, though, last night in gaming names. I wanted to point that out because we've seen some decent results from here in the U.S. and from the Macau casinos. There might be some profit taking coming, especially if we start to see margin calls in the commodity space. Finally, taking a look at India. India continues to outperform. This market has been moving to the upside now overnight. It is an impressive session, up 1%. Basically, all components moving to the upside. There was no one catalyst. And so India is very strong right now. It looks like it wants to break out and get out of this consolidative area on the Sensex. Basically, over now 30,000. We're seeing levels that we have not seen all of 2017. And historically, these are levels that we have not seen. So India is moving to the upside. Again, look at something like EFA. There is exposure to the Indian markets in EFA, as well as EEM. That is a ETF that tracks emerging markets. That's a good one to take a look at if you're looking for exposure into India, as well as EWI. All right, folks, that's it right now for what's hot or on the overnight action report in Asia. Join me at 8:45 Eastern time for all the action in Europe. We'll be covering it here live on MarketStream. See you then.